blasts, and you can see ancient buried cities beneath them.
Okay, cool. I need to know about Aketi because that's where I is.
Aketi is a giant jungle planet, and like I said, you're flying past it. It's a great place to lay low. You get bonus dice to lay low. You can lay low even on the system that you're in because it's a planet that nobody goes unless they have to.
Nice, but
it's
we
full
might
of
be
predatory things. Yeah, we are. I just
we're on actual play. Hello, everybody. We're back.
Good job.
Sorry, I just didn't want you to not know that we were on broadcast. Go on.
That's all I got for you.
Nice. At some point, Boz will definitely pull Fade aside and ask about stopping by a terrible, strange Aketi jungle planet.
No, that sounds like a terrible idea. It's a jungle planet that nobody goes to because it's a jungle planet. Why do you want to go there?
It has carnivorous fish.
It's got carnivorous fish. Do you know what carnivores eat? Meat. Do you know what you're made out of?
I think whenever this conversation is happening in our timeline, Lauren would stick his head in and be like, "Those fish are delicious, though."
See, Lauren
cook some up.
We can go.
You.
Great. That sounds good. You go fishing, and why don't you and Lauren go fishing? Don't we have our artifact to recover? And I think that's
perfect.
Cool. So I think I have a cool thing for you folks here in one.
All right. So we're about to jump off of the back of the.
So we should put together an engagement roll.
What's that look like?
So an engagement roll. Wait. I have a book. Hang on.
Yay.
I know engagement rolls are one of the few things that I still find myself referring to the book.
There seems to be a fair number of bits and bobbles and pieces.
I think I know the questions, but it's
all right. Let's do the questions. So you get 1 die for sheer luck.
Sweet.
You get there's the first 2 questions are: is this operation particularly bold or daring? You folks are going into an ancient Ur temple with relatively little prep. I'm going to say it's pretty bold and daring.
Yeah, I think so.
You're driving on ancient, outdated vehicles through some pretty hostile, toxic terrain, and as I mentioned, you've done some legwork, but not a whole ton. So yeah,
Lauren got them repaired. We're good.
True.
Yeah.
And also, I'm wearing a leather jacket, and I look amazing.
Oh, your hair!
So,
No
it's blowing in the wind.
Well, when you put on the leather jacket, your hair just becomes amazing.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's why face hair is always so amazing. Come on.
Not wrong.
So I think that's if your plan if the operation is overly complex or contingent on many factors, take -1d. Now you have no conditionals.
There's no plan.
Does this plan detail explosive vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? No. Is the target strong against this approach?
I mean, we have a mystic.
Right. I think that's coming up in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Take +1d. I feel like that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, are any enemies or rivals interfering in this operation? Fortunately, you got here fast. Otherwise, the answer would be yes.
Nice.
And finally, are there any other elements that you want to consider? Is it higher tier, lower tier, +1d, -1d? I feel like this place is pretty dangerous, but it's not actively opposing you so much as it just happens to be hostile to people in general, not because it hates you, just because it's not designed to make you particularly welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing that we know that it would mess us up was our ship we made a provision for.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know that we wouldn't be able to fly in, so we got around at least that initial. But I think that puts us at 3D. Yeah.
That's what I got.
Nice.
Cool. Does anybody want to roll it?
Sure.
Cool.
Is this a fortune roll?
Yeah. And I will pull up That cool image.
Hey!
Woo!
I don't think we've ever had that before.
What does
Wow.
that mean? It's really exciting.
You're in a good position. So that means that
Jory, yes.
I think what's gonna so I'll give you your first problem. So I don't know. Can you guys see the cool little graphic that I have there?
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Blood
So
pools.
this place has dozens of these strange orbs, some of which are the size of like huge buildings with like openings in them, not always aligned with the ground. It's pretty clear that it's not necessarily designed to be accessed in the way that like normal people access places. But as you guys are driving along, right? And so like you've got like breathers and there's this like toxic, like there's no atmosphere actually on Dendara. So you
So
have to
I
use,
just
like
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. Did we jump from our ship on bikes wearing like breathers? I've got my leather jacket on.
Yeah.
I think Barzuk is on the back of my bike holding on to me like a beautiful woman.
So maybe you've got a trike.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're all like driving off the bay of our ship.
Yeah,
which
as the opening
there's like
door.
really intense butt rock playing the soundtrack as this is happening. It's a
Yep.
very Mad
Right.
Max.
And
moment.
if it's this kind of swampy thing, then we're splashing and crap is flying every direction.
So yeah, there's this like strange red liquid that has obviously somebody has like a fog machine that's making red clouds everywhere. So you like as you're driving, there's like huge like wafts of fog coming off of where your wheels are going through and everything. So you hear the like very kind of like dirt bike like the "wah" sound as you're kind of doing a convoy and going through these like little like riverlets and things like that, and this like strange volcanic looking rock. And as you folks approach, so by the way, like your breathers are not the usual like I hit a button and my spacesuit forms around me kind of breathers, because that stuff gets like deactivated. So you folks have like crappy old school
gas
breathers
mask,
with
kinda.
like things that expand and contract on your backs kind of stuff. Yeah, it's go ahead.
Sweet.
Yes, your life is literally regulated by like mechanics and not electronics. There's no readouts. You don't have any idea how much air you have.
Boss is pretending to not be discontent.
But it's you know, we see Loren who's like, we see Barhuzuk who's like, what the rest of you look like in this moment as terrible things happen, but you're in a control position.
Lovely. So we brought our fine selves and we have Boyan and we left not wife on the ship.
Carrie?
We left
Yes.
Carrie and I think
Guns. Carrie and guns. I feel a little bad about leaving Carrie and guns together on the ship.
No,
Yeah.
because Carrie's sitting up in the cockpit making sure nobody takes the ship away.
Actually, Guns can't even come down here if he wants to. His parts will stop working. He'll just die.
Oh no, I don't like. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you folks have like sweet bikes, and you have like I'm imagining that you have some gear and carry capacity on like what do they call them? What do you call it? It's like a you can rent them. Like you attach them to the
Sidecar?
back, and you can
Trailer?
yes, like a little flat.
Yeah, a little
Trailer.
flatbed. Totally.
Yeah.
So
Little burly.
Yeah.
as you folks are driving through kind of these like canyons and this liquid and stuff, and sort of like looking at things, and you know you see like Boyan is like pointing in a specific direction. You realize that like you hear this like sound, and as you look around, there's this thing that looks like a hula hoop, but it's like 6 stories tall. It comes like rolling out from somewhere behind one of these like circular objects, and it starts like chasing down where your like little vehicles are. And so like if you swerve, you know, like it tries to correct, but it's like huge, and it's obviously like chasing you down, trying to like crush you people. So that's the first guardian of the temple. that
Nice,
you have to
nice.
deal with.
Faye's pretty confident she can take care of this.
How are you going to take care of it? And now, mind you, you folks are in a controlled position. You see it coming. You've got a fair amount of speed. You've got some vehicles. And as a matter of fact, like we'll see like some cool graphic where like you jump off of some rocks like near where this thing appeared, and you'll see like a broken set of people down there who couldn't just outrun it on feet. So
Yeah, I think when Faye sees one of those, she's going to start swerving. She's going to start breaking away from the group and see if it follows the group, follows an individual, see if she can get it to follow her, because she's confident that she can like ride one of these things wild enough to pull it off course, and then recorrect, and then still dodge it and recorrect around. In fact, she's confident that not only she can do that, but you said it's a hula hoop. She's pretty sure she can go right around it and then go through the hoop and come back around.
Huge. You'll have to make a multi-feet jump. You need like a little hop.
Oh yeah, sure.
Little hop.
It's
a little
there.
hop. Anyway.
So I'm gonna outright tell you a thing. It's like I'm just gonna describe it cinematically, and then it's probably gonna try and do it again. So that's when you're gonna get your out. So you try and tease it a little bit, right? So you're like, "Hey, do you want to follow me? Do you want to follow me?" And it seems to target the group, like when you peel off. But if you get close to it, it swerves to correct for you, and then it does this thing, and you're gonna get the first one as a freebie, but then we're gonna roll because it's gonna be bad. So what happens is at some point it just stops and it pops and it just keeps rotating until its full weight comes out, and it comes down and it just creates this. You see red liquid go flowing out, the bikes are all shaking, people get squished, and it's trying to smash you, but you obviously swerve at the last second, and you'll hop over some rocks and be fine on that first thing, because now that we've established what the threat is, it's going to fold itself back up into the hula hoop shape and start.
Awesome. So it snaps out like a serpent.
Yeah, just slap.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. So Faye's got this big clunky respirator breather on that doesn't quite fit right because she's a little smaller than it was meant for. And she's like, no, but Papa said it was working. It was good. So she tightens the thing and then says, okay, we got this figured out. I got it. And knowing that if she gets closer, it will follow her, she blazes ahead to yeah. And then when that happens, she's like, maybe I don't got it. It's okay. It'll be fine. And she's just yelling, because we have no comms, I assume.
Cool. So Faye, what is the plan here? Because otherwise this thing is going to smush you.
Yeah.
It's coming up on you and it's speeding up and it's like a giant multi-story loop and you're catching up. What do you do?
The plan is do what they should have done in Prometheus and don't keep running away from it. Run to the side. So
okay.
right is so she's coming up to it, and if she thinks it's gonna do it, that's when she cuts a hard 90 degree and whips it on the side, figuring it takes some time for it to roll.
It does. It does. But I didn't know if you were looking to have it smash into one of the buildings, hoping that maybe it'll break itself, or if you're just trying to lead it far away from the group and then cut back as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Yeah. I mean, ahead of us, do we see any place where it might be inhospitable? Do we see? It
might be inhospitable, you say? Hang on.
Yeah, to it. Do I see? Because obviously, what?
More arts? No. So there are certain buildings and structures that are much larger. Sometimes you see multiple of these globes attached together, and sometimes in defiance of physics, it's large orb, smaller orb, another smaller orb. It's connected. Nice. Angles and gravity don't matter to it.
Spheres.
Yeah. And basically what you see in the distance is a huge mofo and sphere pointing at the heavens. And you see a couple of these around the, in the distance on the horizon. But the one that you're headed towards is the one that's actually labeled as the temple.
Nice. Well, then I want to use one of these smaller ones as my escape route. So when it's coming after, I'm going to go up in through one of those and come back out where it can't trace me. Assuming it can't get inside one of those because they're too small.
Well, sometimes they're tiny, sometimes they're huge.
Yeah. I'll just pick one that's small enough it can't get through.
All right, cool. So what you're saying is that you would like to dash through a precursor object trying to lose a giant precursor bot guardian of this place. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's totally what I'm doing.
This is kind of desperate, Faye.
Okay.
And it's not desperate for the reasons you think it's desperate. Well, actually, it's probably exactly for the reasons you think it's desperate. All right, let me transfer all your cool little tokens here. So is you ready? This sounds like a helm.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Straight up helm to me.
Yep.
So good.
All right. Yeah. Desperate hell. Standard effect?
You survive this. You get a 6 on this, and you'll be fine. But let's see if there's some weird physics effects. I did mention that it seems to be more gravity.
I think the whole time that Faye is steering away from the group, Lauren is just screaming at her.
But you guys don't have proper comms because
I know.
Exactly. So she's like, waving, I got this.
I think Boyd's commentary is like, huh, I used to know a pilot like that. I think he just exploded.
Does space frozen? I didn't ask when I was.
It shouldn't affect you here.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not the worst result. I do it.
It's the worst result. It's not the worst result. You're right. So I'm going to tell you what happens, and then we're going to start going through the nopes. So first things first, you make a swerve, and you're like, I see an opening. I'm going through it. And then you make a turn, and you go up, and roughly 200 Gs of gravity hit you, like in a weird direction. It's not like straight down. It's like sideways, and that's like basically what keeps it like plugged together in its weird position.
Yeah.
So you're going to take level 3 harm. Your bike is going to be absolutely destroyed, and you're going to be trapped here.
Okay, so there's 3 complications: bike destroyed, level 3 harm, and trapped in this thing.
Yep.
Okay, I will resist the trapped in this thing and the level 3 harm. I'm fine with my
Sounds
bike
great.
being destroyed.
You're going to have to explain to me how.
Yeah. So I get hit by 200 Gs pointing down, like
pointing sideways.
Pointing sideways. Okay. Yeah. So I think that this is in part of me. It's
actually more like 20. I picked a big number. 200 I realized will probably liquefy
I think it would liquefy
with 20.
I think you're right. Yeah.
All right, good.
I feel a little better.
Maybe 10. We'll stick with 10. It's a lot. The point is you're going to have broken bones and a crushed bike.
Smash me horribly. Yeah. So I don't know if it would I don't know if it will help us if it will help me in this endeavor. So you can tell me if this wouldn't, but I would like a flashback to after Faye touched it and after Faye touched it and got the map, she I'd like a flashback where we see that she brought it with her. And so
the box?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in your pocket. No problem. Zero stress. You already established that.
Awesome. And so as we're going, she's kind of looking at the box as though it's going to give her GPS directions, like go left, go right. This because she knows it's showing her where to go. And I want to use it as like a map through this thing where I'm totally willing to destroy this thing, like punching through a wall or like finding a secret route through one of these cubes. Like, so it gets smashed and Faye kind of looks to it and then tries to remember the route and like, so I'd like to resist with resolve. Ironically,
no, I was going to say this is an artifact place. Resolve is appropriate as a resist for complications.
So
when I tell you that a large statue is falling on you or something like that,
that's when I'm going to resist with prowess of like me swerving out of the way.
This is totally resolve resist. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I'm going to resist the getting trapped with resolve as the box leads me out. Let's see how that goes. And harm, I'm going to resist the prowess of me just like crazy driving around to avoid the giant pillar that's smashing me.
All right, that sounds great.
All right. So resolve, I take one stress.
You're not trapped here.
Yay. And and when I see the huge pillar and I'm getting trashed, I kind of use the bike a little bit. I'm like letting it get more and more wrecked as a buffer between me and at one point,
an option.
What's that?
The option is you can resist more harm if you let your bike get absolutely totaled, or you can resist less harm if you're trying to get your bike in crushed but still functional shape out the other side.
Can I hop out the other side if I succeed in this, no matter what? Because I'm not trapped.
I have a question about the number.
You might be
of
hurt.
we
Go ahead, Tori.
Well, hurt is yeah.
Do we have 3 bikes or 4 bikes?
I'm gonna say 4. I feel like
Okay.
Boyan has his own, and you have
Yeah,
like a
that's
couple
it.
of bigger bikes with like attachments on the back.
Great.
Yeah.
So
I'm
then
okay
we-
losing the bike. I'm fine with. So I'm totally happy to let the bike be crushed as like as the defense of me, and for me to get spit out the other side of this thing.
Yeah, no problem.
stands
So
by.
what you're trying to do is use your artifact to read the flow of gravity to maybe like slingshot yourself.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's where I envisioned my resisting the getting stuck in here part.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, in
Cool.
terms of the bike,
So-
I'm just riding it really hard.
So you touch the artifact, you're like help, and you that weird negative vision happens for a second, and you kind of see like the same way that you watch like those dark hyperspace lanes, it charts a path, and
Yeah.
you're like, sweet. And then like you see the bike like go down and then come up, and it's obviously not gonna go all the way, and you're trying to like jump off of it as it like smashes into a wall and there's a dramatic explosion.
Exactly. That's
Amazing.
exactly what I want. And nobody's
Okay.
here to see it, but it's okay because you'll see her spitting out the other side of this thing.
Good.
When I like that the arc that the cube shows me to be something that is absolutely impossible by physics, right? Because like in this
no,
space,
yeah.
gravity is pointing in all these different directions. So yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna roll with prowess to resist the harm then. Does that
Yeah,
sound
absolutely.
cool?
It'll
All
cost you 2 stress.
Two
And
stress.
I'm going to say that it reduces it to level 1 harm, and I'll tell you how you take it.
Cool.
The level 1 harm is just bumps and bruises. You can armor it if you want.
Yeah, I was
Um,
just gonna say,
You
I
get
think
spit out that thing, and you get that, "Whoa!" and then you like hit the liquid and roll and like bounce off a rock and like land, and you're like, oh god. So that's going to be your level 1 harm. It's not from anything inside this globe.
nice.
It is completely from the velocity that you catch on the trajectory out.
Nice.
But there's this like moment where you're like in the liquid and like looking up, and you see that thing like circling, or like it's correcting its path because it can't follow you. But
Yeah.
it's still going to be out there, but now you don't have wheels.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm gonna,
You're fine.
I do like the mayday to everyone else to come.
Oh, Lauren immediately, as soon as he sees a figure shooting out of this globe, shoots directly over towards you,
Nice.
and kind of like
Actually,
gestures for Boz and
as,
Boyan to come
as you like shoot out, Boyan's like, woof, like he's like, no, wait, but like you take off like a bullet. So we'll you see him like sitting next to Boz, and he's like, they just never listen. So cool. So this is the scenario. Lauren is riding to the rescue, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Faye, are you spending an armor to negate the damage?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. 1 box of armor, you're completely negated of damage.
Yep.
But there is going to be a large serpentine hula hoop of death that's 5 stories tall, about to come crashing down on you.
Whoa. Well, hold on a second though. No, I don't think so. No, because my desperate action was to evade it, so it couldn't get to us because of going through
That's
this.
true. You got a
Right,
4,
like-
so you do it.
I
But
did it. Right. I did it. I took 3 consequences that were all terrible, but I did it. So it should be trapped on the other side of this thing. As
Cool.
I
So I'm gonna say that it's gonna take a little bit of time to get to you folks, but there's time for Lauren to come to the rescue. Lauren, you did mention that the majority of your bike is taken up by you and Barhazook. Right?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool. So you're driving towards Faye at full tilt, and Faye is waving at you, and you see the giant hula hoop on the other side of all of these globes, like trying to like rotate back and come back around, and that's going to take a little while, so you folks have time.
Yeah, I think I like pull up and like screech in this liquid and do the drift turn thing where there's like water sprays, and like from the spray of the water, my hand is out and I'm like, hop on. To Faye.
Barhazook is like looking at you like, I don't know, where do you want to sit in the back on the little...
Yeah. Do you have the trailer? Is the trailer behind you?
At least one of the trailers is, yeah.
Yeah.
I
think
so
it'd be
what
fine for Faye to
imagine-
like. Sorry. Go ahead.
What I imagine is that there's sort of enough room, but Faye and I are going to have to be very physically close for this ride.
Who's sitting in whose lap?
Nice.
Probably Faye and Barhozik's lap because I can't see how else this bike's gonna work.
Yeah, probably.
As
All
a
right.
matter of fact, Barhozik is probably clutching onto you like, hold on!
And so
It's not
that
the best plan,
would
organic!
that put Faye's
I think
sandwich?
Faye, yeah, is sandwiched and like she needs to hold on to me, and Barzuk is like kind of has like one arm towards the front of the bike, has found something to grasp, and one arm towards the back of the bike, and maybe has found something to grasp onto.
Nice.
So this clown car of a bike makes it back to the group.
Yeah, right. And Faye does reach around and she squeezes you tight. Perhaps out of desire to, perhaps out of necessity, perhaps out of both. And she's like, "Whoa, did you see that? I mean, that was a terrible idea. Holy crap!" She's a little. She's got some. She wasn't planning on doing something that was that crazy. She didn't think it was that dangerous. She just thought, "Oh, I'll shoot through that little thing." Didn't realize she'd hit this 10 G's of crazy gravity. But now that she's done it, her adrenaline is just racing.
Best drug to date.
And I think we like get back with the group, and like the three of us get off our clown bike because it's obvious we're not all three going to travel the rest of the way. But like before Faye goes off to a different bike, Lauren like grabs her by the arm and like looks her over to make sure that she's okay. And says to Faye, "Are you okay?" And like has a hand on your arm, and the other hand is like on your face, trying to see like whether you're bruised or scratched or like if anything is wrong with you.
I think
very intense, very focused.
Boz will yell at you to move your asses.
Yeah. Faye, obviously, I mean, you could see she does look beaten up and battered, but it's mostly she's let the stuff that she's wearing take the beating. Like her big respirator is a big old crack in the glass. It's not broken, but it's cracked, and some of the like the gear that she has is been smushed, and she's all scuffed up and she's all covered in this red water. So she looks like she's been shot out of a cannon, but she's like, she like says in the muffled voice to the respirator, "No, I'm fine. It's okay. The bike took all the hurt, took all the damage." And she moves well. She doesn't move spryly because she's still space frozen, but she's does not appear to have suffered any more.
Wait, isn't she not space frozen anymore?
She is still.
She is for 2 more ticks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you folks totally reconfigure on the bikes.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Do Faye and Loren end up on the same bike?
No,
I
Boz
think-
pulls Faye out of the back of Boz's bike. Let's go. Just
Awesome. So I'm gonna.
I think there's a moment where like Faye is like everything's fine and like goes to pull away, and like Lauren holds her there for a second and is like, "I can't lose you." And then that's when Boz is like, "Get on!" and pulls her onto the back of her bike, and
Nice.
shoots Lauren like a.
So I think you folks make it to the outside of the main temple complex, which, as I mentioned, is a bunch of these globes kind of shaped in a vaguely pyramidal shape, with the biggest one with a red hole pointed at the heavens, kind of like as the centerpiece. And there's actually like weird doorways. Like there's a big like weird doorway, but as you guys like approach it, you see the big hoop is kind of chasing you. But it's in the distance. It's back there. You guys have plenty of time. So as you approach the temple, you realize that there's no like, this is not designed to, it was not made for people, right? Like it's not designed with doorways and steps and stuff designed specifically for human-sized individuals with bipedal legs to travel in.
right.
So the first challenge here is, how do you folks get into the temple?
Well, I think I would look to Boyan and be like, how do we get in, buddy?
Okay. So this is on him. I will make a roll for him then. It's going to be a fortune roll. So I think that you guys park your vehicles, and there's this odd moment where, like, when you turn off your bikes and all the engines stop, the big rotating hoop slows down and then goes in a different direction.
Hmm.
But he takes out like a knife, and he takes out like a pouch, and he pulls out this thing, and he has like a container, and it's actually really interesting. It's this like little like dodecahedron with like different pieces inside it, each of which has like water and has a different colored like a glowy bit like his arms have. And he'll take out some parts of it, and you see him start almost praying as he like puts this stuff like on a section of that like volcanic rock, and then he'll pour some of that clean water on it, and what he's going to try and do is like divine the path. He's essentially trying to read the flows of the way to see if there's like some way that you folks can enter. So I'm gonna make a quick roll for him. Give me just a second. What?
Find the way.
I'm
Can-
gonna roll.
Get it? Can he find the way?
Can
Because he's using the.
can Boz help? Because Boz did
Boz, if
some
you would like to spend
training
a
in his
stress, yes,
turn.
you can.
Say it again for me.
You can spend a stress to give him an extra die.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help. So, and I think the sum of what that looks like for Boz is, in addition to already being deeply curious, sort of just like reaching out and like opening like reaching out with the way, and like almost like lending, like in a very like almost literally imagined way, like lending a hand, right? And like showing up in presence in that fashion.
Cool. So I think he like smiles as you sit down next to him, and he says like, "When you close your eyes, where do we strike?" So that's his question.
Lovely.
Cool. So I'm gonna roll. Oops, sorry. I should roll one more die. So I'm gonna.
Do do do.
Da-da-da. Nope, that didn't help. All right, 5. So he finds a way, but it's going to be dangerous in some way, I think, is what's going to come up.
Seems legit.
Yeah,
So
not surprising.
he starts like wandering with one of his like, he splays out his fishy hand with the membranes for like swimming around it, and he starts like walking, almost feeling like the way flowing around the temple, and occasionally he like steps almost 10 feet out closer in until he gets to like a section, and then he looks at all of you and he goes, "Here, but we might have to hold our breaths." And he literally like jumps forward and like sinks into that red liquid. So he's gonna take you in like through the underground passage, and
Neat.
assuming that everybody comes up after him,
Yeah.
eventually as you're walking up, you're just gonna reach a section that has essentially like a complex grate. It's like weird and like segmented, and occasionally like pieces of it seem to shift, and it's a thing that stands in your path, and he puts his hand like up close to it, and he says like, "This is probably the safest path that I can find." It
Great.
doesn't mean that it's necessarily safe.
Have we come up out of the water or
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
the
yeah. You've gone up some like, there's like a little like path heading upwards. Notably, none of these places usually have steps, so it's usually just like a straight path heading up. And sometimes when you come up out of the water, it's obvious that the place is sunk down in it. So you get the sense that however this was built, it wasn't necessarily built in a way that's lasted all these millennia. Like, even though the precursors were essentially magical and they built these wonders, it's obvious that it's been around for so long that it's still not quite perfectly right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you guys bypass the gate mechanism? It looks like what you found is essentially like a, I don't want to call it like a waste pipe, but like it seems to be like flowing that red liquid down onto the ground.
So, can I study it to see if there's like a weak spot, or does that make sense? Or should I attune?
Attune will work. If you had Dr. Strange, you could use science, but the thing is that like just looking at it is not going to get through it, much the same way that like looking at a door isn't going to reveal anything immediately obvious. You guys need to figure out some way to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that way is lots of detonators, and we'll just make a roll. But you tell me, what does this look like? The party standing in front of this like weird moving door, and Loren's studying it.
Awesome.
Any ideas?
Yeah. So are you gonna grab a hold of it? Are you gonna kind of look at the pattern of it moving? I don't want to dive in. I'm wondering what it looks like.
I guess is there any benefit to me studying or attuning to it to kind of...
If you attune to it, you may find out what its mechanism and purpose are. If you study it, I don't know how much you'll be able to find out. I mean, the information that I'm giving you is honest and as complete as I can give you. I'm not like hiding a seam or something from you and then like, if you know to study, you'll find out. Like this is not D&D, right? Like I'm not trying to play a gotcha game here. I think that like when you say you study it, like if you look at it, I've given you all the information I can, but like if you're poking at it, it might be dangerous, but then you might, I don't know, like, are you trying to break it? Are you trying to cut through it? Do you just shoot it? Like how are you trying to find out where its weak spot is?
Yeah, I think that Lauren is, if people approach it and like try to touch it, he's like, no, like just wait. Like we don't know. We're in an ancient temple full of magic. Let's take a moment. And so I think he gets out his Church of the Solar Flame pendant and holds it and prays a little bit as he tries to attune. And there we got a 5 there.
I'll make you a deal, jury. You can do it at a small complication or cost. So what I'm going to tell you is you are going to be able to attune to it, and you might even be able to find the latch mechanism, but it's going to cause an immense strain on your mind, and it's going to cause 2 stress. And if you do that, you'll just bypass the obstacle. You'll pay the cost and touch whatever alien mind designed the lock mechanism and essentially knock.
All right, I will do that.
All right, cool. Sweet. So I think that I'm going to do a little setup. So like, as you folks walk in, it's obvious that you're kind of in a large room. There's some like pillars, but some of them have fallen over. And you realize that this room connects like via passageways. Like some are heading up, some are heading straight ahead. Like there's a big passageway like ahead of you folks. And you see that the red liquid is flowing out of all of these passageways into this room and then past your legs and out. And for a split second, maybe you think to yourself, hang on a second, if this thing is producing that red liquid, did it cover the entire planet with it? Like how many millennia has this been here? Just flowing red liquid out.
Just the red liquid creating bot. That was this thing's job. You have one job.
And as you're sort of like moving forward and everything, Boyan is going to like hold up a hand, like as somebody's like trying to step forward and be like, wait. And then he'll do this thing where he like, since he brews stuff, he'll sometimes have like little pouches of like grains and like fruits and other things like that on him. So he takes out what looks like a dried fruit and he throws it ahead. And as he does, it like flies through the air and it looks like he's throwing away fruit for no reason for like maybe like 2 or 3 meters. And then it hits a point in space that it looks no different than any other point in space. And all of a sudden it starts rapid fire rotting until what lands on the ground is like foul and broken down and everything. And he goes like, I don't know that just walking forward is going to work here. And like for a split second, you know, like the camera's going to pan out and you folks realize that you're in like some terrifying temple built by the precursors where time and gravity and other things don't necessarily work.
Yeah, or they work just differently than we.
And I think that's where we're going to end the session and pick up next time.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Excellent.
Superb.
Very nice.
Hoof.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's really weird. I've run a lot of games of Stardancer, and usually folks are all about like faction politics and sticking it to the mouth plates and stealing guild tech and running with some pirates. This is like the most kind of D&D-ish session of this that I'm looking forward to. I think that D&D is probably wrong. Like I think it was Andy that called it a Zelda temple.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Story. Yeah.
Jory, yeah.
Oh, Jory, yeah.
Yeah, it's adventure fantasy, right? Like we're doing this. It's the Star Trek episodes where they're
For
like,
planet
we're
side.
sick of like Romulan politics. How about just throw them in, like have them sort shit out?
So I think that that's going to be the next session. So
Delightful.
Cool.
So
let's go
good.
first.
Well, Lauren, your sheet is up on the screen right now, so why don't you go?
Great. I did no desperate rolls. I addressed a tough challenge with deception or influence. I certainly lied to Victor
So good.
Yeah, you did.
about being a wimpy pirate phobe. So there's one there. I feel like that's the only one. What did I write down?
Well, hold on a second. You did try to. There's that scene that you had with Boyan where you were. I don't think this is deception. I think this could very well be influence, though, where you were. There wasn't any rolls made, but you were very much trying to assert that Boyan was not just a fair weather friend, and that if he was going on this mission with us, he had to have our backs, and vice versa. I don't know if that felt like addressing a challenge with deception with influence, but I think it was. I don't know. It says tough challenge, so I'm not sure, but
I feel like I would put that in the next one, which is I express my beliefs, drives, or heritage or background,
so
which was a lot.
So much.
So I think that was a big part of it. And then I have my history with the House Alvaron, and then
which now Boz and Faye know about.
Yeah. It's finally a group that Faye doesn't hate, and lo and behold, Lauren does.
Yeah.
Like she like hates so many institutional organizations, but this is one she doesn't know anything about. So
yeah, and then I think that a lot for me, the way that I defended my crew and the importance of the crew to Boyan was very much that. And
yeah, I think
there are so many beliefs from how you handled situations with Victor and Carrie to just the way that you like desperately run after Faye, like when she's in trouble. This was just a big foot collage of exactly that.
Yeah, definitely. And then I struggled with issues from my vice or traumas during the session. And I think for me, especially rushing to Carrie when I saw that she was endangered was very much a softness issue.
And making a whole point of stopping the mission to like make sure Faye was okay.
Sure.
Even though there was a giant, an
evil hula hoop.
Evil hula hoop.
Yeah.
Like snake biting hula hoop.
I would even say like the asserting that your ex is your wife as as a trying to like assure this individual's safety, right? Like that whole, like in addition to the rushing, like you kept going. Like
oh yeah.
It was super.
Yep. Cool. So that's 5 total for me.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. I'll go.
Cool.
I already marked my desperate. Just took challenge with charm or audacity.
Every time.
I definitely charmed Victor into believing that we couldn't do it. Like, I mean, I felt like I walked out of that interaction with Victor as positive as I could have ever hoped to. Like, he was happy with us when he really didn't have any reason to be, and he was happy with us not doing the job in the time that he wanted. So I felt like that. Well, it doesn't matter if you succeed. So I felt like, and then I think trying to outmaneuver a hula hoop of death in my
Is there-
machine and going through the
I still
and
remember
going-
when I was like, so let me get this straight. He's going to go object, trying to, okay.
yeah. Well, you know, I'm an XP monger, so I'm gonna take 2 there.
Mhm.
So
Did-
good.
Came out relatively unscathed from a desperate roll that didn't land you at 6.
It's a
So,
shockingly okay.
yeah, I
That's
took
amazing.
3 stress, but
I was really worried.
that's actually her skill is she gets into scrapes, but she's got really good resist, so she's able to come out relatively okay.
yeah, my playbook thing is full. I needed to choose a move.
I have opinions.
What was your opinion? I felt like I was gonna take Daredevil, but
Oh yeah, that's the one I was thinking too.
all right. Well, I'm
Might as
gonna
well
just
take it.
I'm just gonna take that because I
Great.
should have already taken it before. That was already full.
Mm.
I could have also I could have also seen like shoot first or tenacious to like reduce your penalties to like last thing.
Yeah, no, they both make sense. I'll take Daredevil because I'm gonna get more XP. So I'm all right. I'm taking 2 for charm and audacity. Oops, not maybe that. That was 3. No, I want it. Resolve was not letting me take. There it goes. I was not able to click in the. You express your beliefs, tribes, heritage, or background. Well, I believe that there is a certain engine going on between Loren and Faye because her beliefs are very much tied into the fact that she wants to understand Loren and doesn't, or wants to know what Loren is all about and is very attracted to him, but doesn't want to be one of his playthings. And it's really important to her that she not just be another one of his one night stands, that he like, even though he's super protective of her, she's very afraid that she's going to get hurt
Sure.
by hooking up with him.
Very
So
real.
There's well, because that's all she's seen is everyone who's like got a history with Loren, he's left behind.
Mhm.
And then I also think my background came in a lot talking with Victor and the whole nature of who owns the ship and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So I'm taking 2 on that front, which is going to fill up resolve, and I'm going to take a dot and a tune for the first time.
Check that out.
I know.
Oh.
And I'll put
It's
one.
interesting that for being for not being a super way oriented game tonally in general, we all, do I understand that correctly, have some attune?
Yeah.
Now,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, but even not having it, I mean, Faye's been regularly hitting,
I've been using it even without having it. Yeah.
which is awesome.
Can I just to make a small allegory? This game is not Star Wars, right? So like, even though it in some ways it has a lot of those touchstones, imagine Star Wars if you remove the Jedi. So what you see is when somebody gets harmed, Leia can know where they are. She feels a connection, can tell where to take the ship and how to pick them up and that kind of stuff. You see a lot of people who have like insights. They know like where to go even when they don't necessarily know that they're supposed to make that dive. They like hit hyperspace where they're not supposed to and their probabilities are low, but they somehow survive. A lot of this is what Attune is meant to reflect, is the fact that people have insights and instincts and the universe wants certain things to flow a certain way. And
Mhm.
so having Attune, among other things, improves your resolve resist, but also allows you to at least participate in a universe that is filled with wondrous things, even if you yourself are not a mystic and it's not all about the juji stuff, right? Like, yeah, you have 2 artifacts on your ship and Faye has 1 on her wrist, but that's not what the game is really about right now. So,
No.
Yeah.
and if you folks decide that it's cool and you want to head in that direction, you can easily just veteran a mystic move and not be a mystic. Just take one of their powers and you're fine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I could see Boz going that direction. I don't think Faye's going that direction. She's just, it's for her, it's really about the space boxes and understanding them. And
Sure.
and then did you struggle with issues from your vice or trauma? I think going and touching the box before I went and touched the box before I went in because Faye didn't feel complete going to enter a temple without first consulting with it.
The box.
Yeah.
I love that you're starting to trust the box implicitly.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
horrifying.
Yes.
So I think it was I mean, it turned out okay, but I think it was a bad plan and not a thing that the rest of the crew would have been cool with.
No, it's good to no one. I assume no one knows.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that was a thing. You're like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check in with my friend, the Starry Box. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think, right?
Lauren
The
will
lamp.
have opinions.
Lamp.
Yeah.
There will
So-
come a moment in this game when Faye does pull out the box.
Oh, it might happen like right now,
Could be
or
great.
early next session. So I'm gonna take one for haunted.
Cool.
That was definitely motivation, and then I don't know if facing the hula hoop of death was reckless. I mean, it was reckless. But
I think it was reckless.
Yes.
I have no
I
doubt.
would say it was reckless.
I believe it was Faye. Are you sure you want to go through a precursor artifact of unknown status in order to try and avoid this hula hoop? Yeah, and also roll the 4 so it doesn't catch up to us. I'll take level 3 harm and exploded bikes and all sorts of problems. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Then I'm taking 2. One for haunted, one for reckless, and
That was quite
to
the
be
thing.
frank, only the players get to decide this. The players get to say who
Yes.
gets XP, but I'm very much
but
like,
we're all part of the conversation, right?
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All in.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
fully consider that reckless.
It was really bad.
Nice. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna. Yeah. No, that's good. So I filled out my resolve, and I took a dot and a tune, and I should have previously taken a playbook advance, so I took Daredevil. We don't do that many desperate actions, but it's nice.
when you do, it needs to count.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right, cool.
awesome. That's Faye. Let's do Boz.
Yeah, awesome. So no desperate actions. Thank goodness, alas. So you address a tough challenge with force or threats. So let's see. Boz definitely threatened Victor Bax.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And his little and guns by proxy. Let's see.
I love that you threatened a half cyborg dude named Guns.
Bring it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Got this.
But politely,
In my-
but clearly.
Very politely.
Yeah.
I secretly in my heart of hearts, I want to see the scene where Bax and Guns arm wrestle.
So good. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there are other places where Boz was kind of throwing weight or malice around.
I mean,
There,
there
it's
was
just
that scene at the end where you're like, "Get on the damn bike."
yes.
And I think that's, it was significant because it was that like, "Are you okay?" You know, there was this moment of like maybe, Faye and Lauren are going to talk about something, and then you're like, "Nope, get on the bike. We gotta go."
Now's not the time.
I don't know that that's addressing a tough challenge. But I
Sure.
do feel like that's being cold. from a-
Cold. Mm-hmm. That's the I think
Yeah.
the lens. So I'm gonna go for 1 on the address a tough challenge with force of threats. And then you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I think there's a variety of things there about so though we didn't explicitly get around to the part where Boz was like, Aya's on that planet, I want to
Yep.
go pick Aya up, like asked about
Absolutely.
going
We
to said
definitely
planet.
asked about it, and we're like, and you definitely got resistance from that.
Yep.
on-
Can we we'll come back later? Make demands. So I think there's that. I think there's also the idea of making like this making this threat, though politely, like is a big part of like Boz doesn't actually want to hit anybody, but always kind of does.
But it is always the default action that she places on the table as a possibility.
Yeah.
I just
By
want
the
everyone
way-
to know it's there.
Punch you in the face is always an option for me.
Sure. I think there's also that ongoing curiosity and interest in the way, and so then
Yep,
engaging
that's
the
us.
boy
That's
in-
what I was going to mention.
Mhm.
Not just the curiosity, but the study of it. Like the focus on
Sure.
it. Constantly looking at what someone's doing and trying to learn.
It's super
Feels like
exciting. So that's the thing that I and Boz are both excited about.
Yeah.
So I I'm into for 2 for the belief drives heritage background.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds
and then you struggled with issues from your vice or traumas during the session. And I think
Too cold.
definitely some cold with barking at you 2 horsing around.
Yep.
Mom, come on.
So much horsing.
I also think it's worth mentioning the absence of some things that Boz has done in the past, which has been made a point to treat people like guests when they're on the Stardancer, and has not done that with any of the people
Yeah.
that we have seen.
I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm sure the boss is gonna pull guns aside and they'll have a conversation, get to know each other, and then it's like, oh, that didn't happen. That's not.
Yeah.
Boz is
Yeah.
not interested in that anymore.
Or with Carrie, right? You're
Or
just
with
like,
Carrie.
oh.
Yeah.
And in fact, the whole like, we're kidnapping you now.
That's fine.
You better deal with that.
Yeah, that's right. Because Boz is like, I'll show you your bunk. Can we just stop now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So there's that.
Yeah, I think this is a rarity, but I think Faye has actually been the nicest to Carrie.
Check that out.
Even though she's come with all
I
her
mean,
problems.
It's not that Lauren hasn't been nice to Carrie.
It's just unwanted.
Yeah. And it's complicated.
Yeah.
Unwanted.
So I feel like that's 5 XP for Boz.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Super good. And I have a backlog of XP that I actually need to use a lot in a variety of
you should
places.
spend that and get the things.
No worries. We
Yeah.
can talk about that after, or
Great.
emails or whatever.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
do Stardancer.
Stardancer.
Yeah.
All right, pull it up.
Okay. So
Okay.
what we talked about
Did
is
you
increasing our
here?
what's it called?
our,
Our tier.
quality.
It's like our standing.
Our how tall we are.
Execute a successful transport or smuggling operation.
No.
Contend with challenges above your current station.
Every day.
I think
2
We-
XP actually.
I think it's 2, right?
Yeah,
we
both Victor and
Victor and Hula Hoop.
Precursor ruins.
Both
Hula
your
Hoop. Tier
both
3.
crew's reputation to develop a new one. I think
Well,
I
let's
don't I
what do
feel
we
sorry.
it's all good. So what are our 3 points of reputation at current?
Ambitious, loyal, and badasses.
I think what I said to Boyan definitely would make him think this is a very loyal crew.
Yes.
So loyal, bolstered for sure.
You were willing to start a fight with a superiorly armed force against a person who's clearly been on your ship and had all the chips in order to do the job for Conclave 01 first.
Yep.
Mhm.
It
Right.
wouldn't have cost you anything. It's not like this job would have mystically evaporated if you did the other job first. But you put everything on the line, made rolls, resisted effects, and everything in order to do this first. I
Mhm.
feel like that's loyal.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sure.
I'd
And
agree.
yeah, what were you saying, Sean?
I was just gonna say I feel. I mean, I know we've already got 3, but I think it
I love the
is.
examples.
I think it is reasonable to say that we are also defiant because, like, they
Mhm.
people multiple times people have tried to tell us like, this is how you're gonna do it, and we're like, nope,
Nope.
not how we're gonna do it. Ricard did
Yeah.
that.
Do you feel like you're getting a new reputation?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think like
feel
people can
so.
push us around. I
I
think
think
Yeah.
that, I think that Defiant has been perhaps the most resounding thing that you've done for a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
while.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's such a good point because so many things just in the process of like it's most apparent when you, Sean, as Faye are like, but you can bet your boots that both Lauren and Boz are like, we got your back, bring it, no way, right? Like
yeah.
it's pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we often tell people we're doing things on our terms.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why
It's
we're
kind of our thing.
smugglers, right? There's a reason why we fly around doing jobs is because we don't want to, you know. There's
Fly
a lot
death.
of Firefly-esqueness in that. We're not
sure.
Cool. So the last one is express the goals, drives, inner conflict, and essential nature of the crew.
Yes.
I feel like all
So
yeah.
good.
The most of the first 2 hours of the game was that.
I would like a brief reminder about arriving at the washroom at the same time and having an opportunity at that
Yes.
time.
being stuck with 3 people in the washroom and Barhazuk outside being
Oh yeah.
Is there room in me for me? Can we hang out
he probably can't even fit in the washroom by himself.
by himself? Right.
It's all right. It's all right. Everyone's welcome, except when they're not, and Paz will tell them.
So that gives us an advance and 2 XP to boot.
Cool.
We wrap around, so we can bump up our crew.
Before we do anything, we should do stash.
Oh, right. We all get 2 in our stash.
Thank you, Strash.
Yep.
It's probably the most frequently forgotten rule. I've sometimes been like, your crew levels up, do the crew level up procedure, and everybody picks a power and they forget about stash, and then like 5 or 6 sessions later when they remember, they're like, oh, we get stash.
Yep. I imagine some of you who don't blow all your money all the time now have a full bar of stash.
I know that
More
Lorraine
than.
does.
Yep, both of you do. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, Faye spends it all on drugs or other things. Well, no, she spends it all on heat shields, actually. That's
Sure. Well, and making darn sure you can say no to people. That's what I've observed, which is delightful.
So now that we've done that, we could bump the crew up. The Stardancer only has 3 cred, so we'd have to spend 1 of our personal cred or 2 of our stash if we have it floating around. I throw money around like it's nobody's business, so I'm happy to spend 2 of my stash to do it and bump us up to crew 1. If that, I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like narratively speaking, we are a legitimate crew 1. We kind of have a kidnapped doctor. We have a tier 1 mystic. Like we've filled that. We have a cybered up gun dude. Like I know he's not on our crew, but like if you look at our cast right now, you'd be like,
we're pretty impressive.
They've moved up. So
yeah, I think I'll spend it because I feel like, I don't know, Lauren kind of owes the ship still a little bit.
Oh no, but okay.
So
I will take that. Take it out. Don't take it out of your stash. Take it out of your cred, because then you only have to spend 1 instead of spending 2. You have 1 in cred.
Okay. Great.
There you go. That bug
Not
is still
anymore.
there. All right.
The bug is actually gone in the final release. I know we talked before the show, but for everyone, hey, everybody watching, welcome to Scum and Villainy Stardancer. There are officially Scum and Villainy sheets on Roll20. So if you make a game of your own on Roll20, you can just say character sheets, search for Scum and Villainy, and these sweet sheets that you've been seeing, but with all the bugs fixed, are actually going to be there, so you can use them for your own home games. And we will be switching over to the latest version next time as one of our small homeworks. So I have to transfer all of these like backgrounds and copy all of the like clocks and the gambits and stuff. But we'll be in a new game with brand new sheets there.
Sweet.
Super good.
All right, so I took all the cred and marked us up to crew 1. I don't think anything happens to become crew 1, right? It just affects all of our.
No, it's just going to affect a lot of things. Your acquire assets are automatically going to become better. Your gear is now better. So like if you pull like a blaster, it's no longer going to be like a dinky blaster that's like fire, tunk, tunk, fire, right? Like it's going to be like a little bit nicer. Your clothes could be a little bit nicer. Your rooms are going to be a little bit nicer with like better decorations and stuff. So like just overall, you're no longer going to have like panels off the walls and live between just like bare wires and stuff. You're still not awesome. Like this is not like, you're not like, oh, we're tier 3. We've got a sleek ship with like cool holo displays and stuff. Yeah. You're like quality 1, which means that you fixed up all the holes and your ship is no longer just this ragtag thing that you're kind of keeping
It
together.
slightly looks less like college.
It's not falling apart as badly.
You have roommates, but you're not in college anymore.
Right.
That's a legit way to roll.
The IKEA furniture has still not all been moved out yet. We're still 50.
Some of it's really useful.
Sure. All right. It is late.
Yeah, it is.
So we should say goodnight. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Thanks for
Great.
hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Yes, we will see you all in 2 weeks for episode 10.
Double digits.
Dun, dun, dun. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.